in order to create an improved table for a FlashForge 3D printer, I'm destroying some American history. Those are some old razor blades that are no longer manufactured. They're from 1930s, and this is how they look like. This is a glass pane that I bought separately for the FlashForge 3D printer. Those are metal brackets that look like this from underneath. They're from a regular hardware store, and they were tapped with for a 14mm, 12mm bolt will work just as fine. M5 bolt and a machine screw, purposely a countersunk head so it holds the razor blade like this, and this is how I attached the glass to the original 3D printer table. I also used some thermal compound, which doesn't look very attractive the way I store it, but it's the silver thermal compound. And those are all the things that you'll need. You'll need a plate, a razor blade, 2 or 3 machine screws, maybe hex, maybe Phillips. Phillips actually seems to work better here. It's convenient. And you'll need a $20 glass that's pretty difficult to drill, and I would rather attach it otherwise. And you'll need a razor blade that looks like this. It's a pretty nice razor blade because it has 3 holes that perfectly match 3 holes on that metal plate. And the reason I used the razor blades is because it's flush with the table, so I don't have to I wouldn't have any problems with the programming of the machine when the nozzle would run into the device that's used to clamp the table. I probably can stack a double. I have 2 razor blades here, so they will be stiffer and they will bite into the glass harder, but I don't see a point in doing it. In process of this, I broke 1 razor blade. 5 perfect shaves. So, destroying American history in the name of filament fusion fabrication 3D printer. And this is where the table will go onto this surface. And this is the connector that supplies it with electricity. And so, a few things I have to mention. This piece of hardware came from Lowe's, and it's the Hillman Mach Erector / Meccano construction set parts, and I tapped those 3 threads in it myself with a tap. There's a tap threads. They weren't threaded originally. This is a little smaller bolt, part of the original hardware. I actually got a longer bolt here. Those are also Hillman Lowe's store little corners. You can buy them cheaper online from China. Those are a lot beefier springs than the original springs because the platform now weighs a lot more, so it tends to compress the original strings too much and makes it very difficult to adjust. The platform is upside down, obviously. This is the little addition to decrease the travel of the table, but to allow the limit switch, which is right here, to censor that the table reach the top a little sooner to compensate for this thickness of the glass. Before that, it would stop about a 1/4 inch higher than it does now. And this is about everything I should mention about this little mod to the FlashForge 3D printer. This is a little silicone grommet from a CD player. I tied the wires to it because I realized that wires will wear out here a lot sooner than everywhere else. I used some cable ties and tied them there. I also made those fans. Those are metal studs, not bolts, and those are nuts. So I don't have to thread steel rods into aluminum every time I want to take apart the nozzle, I can just take the nut off and not risk stripping the aluminum inner threads. Here it is. Those are nuts. Those are studs. They're little spacers inside those fan cavities. In the fans, those little counter bores in plastic to allow the nuts to stand out so I can reach here. And there are many little improvements that I made to this design here and there. One major disadvantage of the 3D printer is that as those two cog belts tension up, those two little axles bow out because they're not tempered. Maybe I will replace them in the future if this printer will still be alive by then.